Here I am, Brian Gallagher, back again from Meg Academy on our YouTube channel, and thank you very much for spending your time here with me. I know you could be many other places. I can't tell you how grateful I am to have your captive attention for the next 5 to 7 minutes. So with that, this is part 2 in our startup series. And by all means, there's no way I'm going to cover everything. I mean, that's what we have in Meg Academy. We have our, learning management system that is 24/7. You get a login password. It's very interactive, role plays, quizzes, assignments, and live coaching. You get coaching, so we actually help you and kick you if we need to. So you apply exactly what you need to do, when you need to do it, and how you need to do it. We've never had a startup fail. And I think it's because of that direct oversight and that hand-holding all the way through the process and that infusion of knowledge. So these YouTube clips are meant to give you the tidbits, the tips and suggestions, the tips for professional success, and some PGIs. If you've been watching my podcast, you know what that's all about, personal growth ideas. So we're going to give you some personal growth ideas and tips for success pulled out of that Startup Accelerator program so that you can, march forward with some actual doingness, some actual successful actions just by watching this YouTube channel. So let's get started on part 2. So in part 1, I talked about the pre-thought ideas. You're working for somebody else, you're thinking about opening up a private practice, and you have several reasons. I gave a couple reasons in part 1's video, but several people wrote in and asked in, and I have gotten this over the years, Brian, what made you go into private practice? What was the catalyst for you? Let's hear about your story on that. I was working for great owners at the time. This was in the mid 90s. I know, it sounds like a long time ago, right? Been doing this 29 years. In the mid 90s, things were roaring, right? The internet was invented and things were going and growth and expansion. And my thought process was very simple, just very simple. I had a great job. I worked with great people. I had great employers. I had a great wife living in a great house. Things were going good. But it dawned on me, like it literally landed on my head like a ton of bricks one day when I was driving to work. And I thought to myself, you know what? I'm looking at all the other people working here, and a snapshot of me today is not going to change that much in 5 years. A snapshot of me today is going to look a lot like a snapshot of me in 5 years. I mean, I'm 52 years old. What am I, 53? I'm 53 years old now. And I just knew by the time I got to my 50s, man, I wanted a different life. I wanted a degree of security and stability. I wanted to live my life with my kids, having the freedom and flexibility to go places and do things. And so if that's you and that's where you're coming from, that's enough, right? That's enough. That's enough of your DNA to say, hey, being an employee in a great place is great. I don't not appreciate that, but I'm just capable for more. I just have a greater potential inside myself, and I owe it to my wife, my family, myself, to live my life to my maximum potential. And that's what kicked me off. So like I said, in Meg Academy, we have the Startup Accelerator program. I talked about the pre-thought ideas. Well, now let's talk about the actual applicable planning ideas. If you're going to go into private practice, you absolutely need to know how to build a Gantt chart. A Gantt chart, Gantt, right? Gantt chart. Look it up. Google it. Learn Gantt charting. Now, we've built out a 21-step Gantt chart in order, in sequence, what you need to do, how you need to do it, and how much time you should spend doing it. Every other industry in the world understands Gantt charting. Physical therapists, I say it, and they're like, what? I don't even know what you're talking about. I've never even heard about that. Gantt what? Who's Gantt? Well, it was actually a person. So Gantt charting, super, super important. Number 2 for this week's episode, Performa. Performa. You should absolutely know how much money you're going to make per visit, and you should absolutely know how many visits is it going to take for you to break even per week based on the expenses you have. Now, a Performa is a very meaty document. We have a beautiful templated Performa to share with you guys that takes you 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, even out to 18 months. Banks and financing institutions are going to need a similar document. Ours is what we call an operational performa. Theirs is a financial cash flow spreadsheet. That may go out 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, which is totally throwing darts at the wall. I mean, it's just such a joke for me. They're going to want you to put in numbers. You're going to need help filling it out for sure. And it needs to be submitted if you're getting your SBA funding. Nobody knows where you're going to be in 3 years. So don't get hung up on that. Do not get stressed out about it. I know people do all the time. It's not look, we're going to do good, accurate, sincere projections, and that's enough. So don't get hung up on that. So you got your Gantt chart, you got your performa. Now what we need to do is we need to build your business strategic plan, right? Your business strategic plan is going to sew it all together, okay? Because let's say you reached out to me and you want to get started in private practice. I'm like, great, let me get you hooked up with our Startup Accelerator program. Let me be your coach. One of the very first questions I'm going to ask you is, why are you doing this? Like, what is the ideal scene you have for yourself? If you don't know where you're trying to go, if you don't know it's 3 offices or 5 offices, or you don't have to have the exact number, but multiple offices or family practice, 1 or 2 locations, I kind of know where I want. How are you going to get there? If you can't picture in your head the painting you want to paint, how are you going to paint it? You can't just say, I'm going to get into it and figure it out as I go. Or take the easy road and say, you know what, I'm just going to do mobile PT, no real expenses there. I'm going to keep my risk low, keep my budget low, and I'll see what happens. Well, okay, great. So you're creating a job for yourself. It's basically what you're telling me. You're going to create a job for yourself. I'm not down on mobile PT. I think it can be a successful action, but you got to know where you're going with it. You got to know like what that's all going to be. It's going to be you and 3 other therapists, you and 2 PTs and a PTA. What are we talking about? Is it in one locale? Is it in multiple cities? Where are you going? Think with the end game is my message, okay? Don't anybody get hung up on the fact I use mobile PT as an example. It could be bricks and mortar. It could be a hybrid model. It could be cash-based model. It doesn't matter. If you don't know what the finish line looks like, you're not going to arrive at it, right? So very, very important. So there you go. I've talked to you about Gantt charting, writing up a performa, building a business strat plan, and identifying your ideal scene. This is the next section that you need to put some serious effort into. Pen to paper, write it up, and type it up, whatever you want to do, and get it down, get your thoughts down. And most of all, when you're done, share that with your significant other. Share that with your spouse. You're a team. If you're either going to win together or you're going to lose together. Too many people try to swing this thing on a solo thing, thinking, oh, this isn't her gig, or oh, this isn't his thing, this is my thing. No, that's not true. Trust me, if things go well in your life, you both benefit. If things don't go well in your business life, you both suffer. So take my advice, make sure you got team agreement on where you're going and what you're doing, but you owe it to her or to him to have worked all this out first and put it in front of them. Like, here's my plan, here's my goal, here's my dream, here's my ideal scene for all of us. And are you enjoying in that? Are you joining in here with me on it? Are we on the same page? If we are, go for it. Never hesitate. I'm telling you, 9 out of 10 people out there are going to tell you all the reasons why not to do it. Don't listen to the naysayers. Get good, positive people around you and be motivated and be encouraged to believe in yourself for your own success. That's my message this week. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate you guys attending. And as always, I always want you to start every day expecting to do well.